Hello and welcome to a video tutorial in C# on if statements. What we're going to get you to do is learn how to use an if statement. An if statement is a conditional statement. That means if a certain condition matches this, then we do this. If the condition is different and it matches this, then we do that. It's based on some conditions. So the conditions that we're going to talk about is what do you do for letter grades in BC. So I've got a little comment down here that says 86 because 86 is an A. So 86 and above is an A. 73 to 85 is a B. 67 to 72 is a C plus. 60 to 66 is a C. And 50 to 59 is a C minus. And then 49 and below is an F. So we're going to base our work around this. So these are going to be the conditions. Is it greater than or equal to 86, greater than or equal to 73, greater than or equal to 67? And we'll check the 86 first so that we're only left with 73 and below. Then we'll check this one, then we'll check that one, then we'll check that one, and we'll check that one. The first thing we needed was a console.writeLine, and it says, let's check what letter grades you got in your classes last year. Console.writeLine. So we're going to have to ask what grades. So name a class you took last year, period. Then we made a variable, and that variable is of the string type because we want to hold a word. And we called it classes. I couldn't call it class because class is used right here. So classes can be used, and equals console.readline. Console.readline is inputting whatever we got put in. So if I type in math, it's going to store math in classes. Then I do another console.writeLine, and I'm going to say, what percentage did you get in, and I'm going to go curly bracket 0, curly bracket, last year, period. And curly bracket 0, curly bracket is going to refer to, after I have the quotation marks, I'm going to say comma, space, and then I'm going to say classes. Okay, so that's going to put in the classes. So if we stored math in there, it will put math in there. Then I made another variable called int. So it's an integer type, which means it's only whole numbers, 1, 2, 3, not 3.5. That you'd have to do a double or a float for that. And I called it grade equals console.readline. And console.readline, what that does is it gets whatever I type into the keyboard and stores it into grade, but it's got a big red line about it because the parameters for console.readline do not take integers, they take a string. So we're going to need to use a different class called convert to int32, and I'm going to set a bracket around that, and a bracket around that. And so that will store it in there. So now we've got the name of the class stored, and we've got the grade that you got in that, so the number grade. So now we need to do our conditional statement. So how do we do an if statement? We write if, and then we do a set of brackets, then we go to the end, and then we do a set of curly brackets and press enter. Now the curly bracket can stay up here, but I find this so much better for organizing. Now it's got a red line, which means there's an error because we need a conditional statement. Okay? So what are we going to use? We're going to use that number, that integer called grade. And we don't have to say int because we've already initialized the variable and said that it's an integer. So now the computer knows it's an integer. And we're going to say if the grade is greater than or equal to 86, then we're going to do this. We're going to do a console.writeLine. And remember, we can say CW tab for that. And we're going to say Congrats. You got an A in, and we'll write curly bracket 0. Curly bracket, close our quotation marks. Remember, give a comma now, space, and then give the name of the variable you're trying to say. And we want to say math, so we got to say classes. Okay, so then still within the main method at the very end, so if we want to test this to see if it's working, we'll need a console.read key just to make sure that the program doesn't close before we have the chance to see what our answer is. So it's not going to work for anything else, but it should only work for if we say it's greater than 86. So let's just run it just for a quick check. Okay, so I'm going to say math, enter. What percentage did you get in math last year? And I'm going to say 89, enter. Congrats, you got an A in math. And if we hit enter again, it closes down. But what if you didn't get 86 or above? What do we need to do then? Now, after the if statement, you can go on and on and on. So we could do another if statement, but the second one we usually do is called an if else. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this whole thing. I'm going to go Control C, and I'm going to hit enter. And then I'm going to type here, else if, and then I'm going to say you got a B. But then we need to check it is greater than or equal to 73. Control S. So let's test it again. Now we'll go start. And this time I'm going to say computer programming. And I'm going to enter, and I'm going to say I got 75. There we go. It's working. So now I've done that. Let's copy this. Control C. Control V, and I'm going to change this to 67. And then this should be a C plus, and then Control V, and this should be 60, and then that should be a C, and then Control V, and then this should be 50, okay, and then this should be C minus. Now, do we need a congrats after a B? I don't know if we need that. For the most part, if we try hard in school, we do much better than that. So I'm just going to get rid of the congrats, and I'm just going to tell you what you got. Now, what's left? So we could do another else if, and we could say greater than 0. The truth of the matter is that in a conditional statement, we have an if statement at the start, then we have as many else ifs as we want, and the last one is always an else. And now else means everything else that's left. So therefore, we actually don't need a conditional statement. So here I'm going to go straight to the curly brackets, and I'm going to press enter, and then I'm going to go there, and I'm going to paste that there, and then I might say I'm sorry, comma, you got an F in that class. Now, that's all fun and good, but maybe you took more than one class. You actually took 8 classes last year. So we're going to do something called a go-to. Now, go-tos we use when we're first teaching programs, because later on we would actually use loops to do this job. So it's kind of a temporary thing that you're going to have to learn this, but here we go. So go to start. Well, it's showing a red because we haven't labeled the start in the position in our lines of codes. So we're going to go up here, and I'm going to press up, and then I'm going to type start with a colon. This is a little bit different, okay? So start with a colon, and then go to start with a semicolon. And it's showing green here because we never really get to the console.read key. We probably don't really even need this anymore, but we'll just run it. So name a classic of last year, math. And the percentage I got, I'm going to say 89, enter. Congrats, you got an A in math. Name a class you took last year. I'm going to say PE, enter. And I got 84, enter. So that should give me a B, which it does. And so on and so forth. So it just keeps repeating. This one, to end it, at this point, we have to just close it. And that is your first if statements. The things that you should really know and understand, that this is called a conditional statement. And that the first one is always an if statement, and then you can have as many else ifs if you want to break it up. And then the last one is everything else that is left. Thanks for watching.